We're heading into the new year, and it, for me, is a time where I need to start reassessing the vision. What am I doing in my backyard? What is the front yard going to look like? Am I doing something in the side yards? Where are we going with this huge transformation of our Florida garden? And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be thinking big ideas. So grab a cup of tea, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, and let's start putting some ideas down and talk Florida gardening 2023. And here's the big thing about putting together the vision. I'm going to be putting a lot of this in the planner, which the digital planner is available. So if you would like to get it to help you plan your Florida garden, go to www.wildfloridian.net/planner. Just Keep Planting Nemo had asked, what's the plan for the backyard? And that's, oh my gosh, we need to talk about the plan for the backyard because it has evolved. And this is why I always like, before I start putting like real plans together, I like to sit and just go through, what are the goals? What is the vision? But, you know, before you even get into like goals for the year, I feel like you just need to have time to sit down and be like, just dream, you know, like just don't worry about budgets. Don't worry if it's practical. Don't worry about time constraints. Don't worry about any of that. Just start getting like the dream out there. And that's what I want to start doing today with you guys. Now, some of the things I'm going to talk you through are literally going to happen. And some of the things might happen this year. And some of these things may totally transform throughout the year, and some of them won't happen at all, or they'll happen next year. And that's okay. But I think it's like really important you start with, where are you going? What do you want? If you had a magic wand, if Mickey Mouse could visit your garden, make all your dreams come true, what would it look like? So let's talk about that today. So what's the dream? What's the fantasy? What are you going to be doing, Jacqueline? I'm thinking English cottage garden in Florida. Does that sound crazy? But that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's a tropical English cottage garden, a subtropical English cottage garden. But that is like the vision I have in my head, is I want some structure, but I also want kind of that, like, you know, I love the native plants. So, you know, I want this kind of flowering abundance. I want lots of wildlife in here, but I want to be productive with food. And I feel like when I was looking at different like gardening ideas, and it's hard sometimes to find ideas for Florida, I just started thinking a lot about like, okay, forget what would work in Florida. Like when you just think, look, what look do you like? And you know, you can look at like French gardens, which are like super like structural and very like, they're very structural. And then like Italian gardens. And I was looking at like Japanese gardens. And I just always come back to like that English cottage garden. I just love that look. And so that started becoming the basis for when I thought about like, where are we going in the future? Like that's where I want to go. That's the idea. I don't like what's happening. Well, I don't like what's happening right now for a lot of things. So as I was thinking through things, I'm like, one, there's like, what's the vision? This English cottage garden. I don't know how I'm going to do it. So don't like, we'll get there. We'll get there. There's some things I know what we'll do, and others I'm like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But the second piece is like, I got to solve some problems, and we got problems. We got problems. Remember I told you all we had the landscape company. They used to do really good years ago. They stopped doing good. Well, because they stopped doing good about 6-7 months ago, we've got like big time problems. Like I have got weeds everywhere. I'm gonna flip you around. I mean, look at this. This is crazy, the amount of weeds we've got. I have more weeds now in my backyard than I have grass. We started notifying them in like April, May that there were some problems with the grass in the backyard, and they didn't really do anything until like September. And this is part of the reason we were like, this is not going to work for us. But now it's created a challenge for us that I had not planned on transforming this lawn into a native lawn alternative in the backyard yet. Because Ben and I were like, maybe 2024, but like not this year. Like just with all the other projects we want to do, it was just gonna be a no. But now it is so bad that like, am I gonna replace all this with sod again? I mean, I'm gonna pay a ton of money just to replace this with something that I want to go away in the long run anyways. And if you look at it, I would argue about 2/3 to 3/4 of this is no longer the grass. And I mean, like, it might not be obvious on the camera as I'm showing you stuff, but From just doing a general assessment of the grass area, I would say about 2/3, maybe 3/4 of it. It's no longer grass. So we're going to be doing a lawn alternative project this year, because if I'm going to pay money for it, I might as well just go do the thing we were going to do anyways. So the idea that we're going to do is we're going to start putting in frog fruit. We're going to start putting in twin flower. I don't remember what else. I'm going to probably do 2 or 3 different types of lawn alternatives for this grass as we replace this. Now, I won't be replacing it probably until we get closer to spring, but that will be the plan. That generally anywhere where there's weeds, that's all going to go, and I'll leave the grass that's okay for now, but generally this is all going to go. All of it's going to go. Bye-bye. Not going to deal with this stuff. Shenanigans. Ugh, I can't believe this got so bad. But let's not talk about that problem. Let's talk about the other problem I have. And that is the vegetable garden. You can see, I mean, we're in winter, so the sun's at its lowest right now, but we are shading out this garden, and we are here in the middle of the day. And look at this. Majority of this is not getting enough sun to be able to grow vegetables. And while I am going to solve this for the front yard, for sure, because we're already in the main vegetable gardening season, we're going to add another vegetable garden, and we're going to add it in the backyard. So you can see it's the same time of day, and it's significantly different with the light that we get back here. So when we look at a fall, winter, spring garden, I'm going to be able to get a lot more sun that I need for vegetables in this area. Right here in prime real estate of our backyard. Then I've gone back and forth about giving up the backyard for this, but honestly, just some of the activities that we had planned to be able to do in the backyard long term, like playing soccer, the kids aren't just doing it, and my little one likes doing construction stuff with his construction vehicles. So I thought, what would be more fun but tearing up the grass with your construction vehicles and moving a bunch of dirt around? So we'll do 3 in-ground beds, about 3 feet wide, about 12 feet long. I think they'll go basically, I don't know how easy this is to see, but they'll go about to this mulberry here. So they'll be pretty long, but that'll still leave a lot of space for the dogs to run around and us to run around over here, so that, I think that'll be pretty good. 3 12-foot beds, 12-foot long beds. I feel like that'll be a good start for a quick turnaround. I'll have to get soil and mulch and all that, and then we'll mulch around it. We'll basically mulch out the space and kind of square it off so it's really obvious for the dogs that this is different than the rest of the yard. And that's the plan for the vegetable garden in the back. But that's not it. So another challenge, so we talked about lawn alternative. The lawn alternative, I'm thinking spring. I probably won't until we get to the springtime even touch that. Just because the other projects that I want to work on is right here. So we have a little bit of a challenge. Like I said, the landscapers, they stopped doing what they were supposed to do for a minute. Oh my gosh, look at that. Ugh. And there's even native plants in there. And it's not that I don't like native plants. I love native plants. But I don't want to be stepping around them all day. Hi, Biden's Alba. Look, my little flower down there. So this area is going to get transformed. We actually paid. I know I need to clean my gate too. Who was telling me, what's a good way to clean gates like this? I feel like someone sent me a tip. But please tell me, how can I make this look clean again? Because it's not looking very clean right now. But we can clean that once it's warmer. Not today. It's cold. And then we're going to move into this bed at probably pretty early in the year. And there's a reason. There's 2 beds on this property that have sidewalks that are very nice sidewalks. They're I don't know what it is. It's travertine, something. It's a cute stone. And they are completely, it's not obvious from here, but when we're walking on them, you can see, hi gardenia, you can't get through here at all. This isn't so bad, but it is, we got invasives, but it's so blocked for our walkway. And that's a problem because I got an old dog and he can't see very well. And it's easier for him to kind of stay on the sidewalk to know where to go. But all this stuff is blocking him. And on the other side, it's really bad. Like I said, these guys stopped, I don't know, taking care of stuff a long time ago. And they just kept their excuse was always well, your yard's atypical. But I'm you all installed this stuff. I don't know what you're talking about because this is happening over here. So the sidewalk ends. Can you see where the sidewalk ends? All the way in here. And then if you're walking on it, then bam, here's a palm in your face, crotons everywhere. And then ferns. So basically we don't walk on this sidewalk at all. And that's not good because we literally paid for it and now we can't walk on it. So one of the other things I need to do really quickly this year is I need to invest in tools that I can do some pretty big pruning of these things. Now I foresee a few of these things are not going to love the fact that I prune them back so hard, but I need to get like the 6 inches to a foot back so that my teddy bear, my poor old man, can walk on the sidewalk and not be able to, like, because he has a lot of trouble with this like unevenness in here, and so he can just walk out, do his little doggy business, and then get back in. So that's up early. So I am looking for, and I would really love it if you guys have recommendations on tools like for maintaining the shrubbery and stuff like that, because I need to invest in stuff so that I can quickly and easily. I will tell you though, I have a leaning towards electric because I told you all I worked in a factory. So motors that are loud really bother me at like an emotional level. I worked in a factory where it would be like OSHA like requirements that you had earplugs in. And usually when you first started working there, me included, every time I would work in certain departments, like the first week I would end up with migraines and headaches, and you just would feel the vibrations like in your deeply in your chest. So sometimes when I'm around like small motors that are really, really loud, it just kind of bothers me in a way that I just don't want to be around them. So I really don't want to buy the fuel ones that are like got that vibration to them, because I just know it's going to kind of agitate me. So I am looking for things that are quieter and don't have that like massive vibration. So any recommendations for, you know, little hand saws and pruning stuff so that I can maintain this area in the near future before I rip it all out? Because yes, my plan is to rip it all out. I know. But what will I put in place? Well, this is like the beginning of like the whole cottage idea, because this is cute. I mean, it's got like a tropical look, but honestly, from like a wildlife perspective, it doesn't do anything. And the difference, like Ben and I keep coming back to the fact that like the front yard gets so much wildlife. It gets birds and butterflies and bees, and we get them back here, but we do not. It's like such a big difference on the amount of wildlife that we want coming through in the front yard versus the backyard. And honestly, mostly probably what comes through the backyard is a consequence, in a good way, of what's happening in the front yard. So what we've talked about is goodbye. So the first bed we were thinking, so that I just don't go crazy, because I have to maintain everything now. That's the thing. I need to maintain all this. Is it'll be the small bed in the front of this window. And I know a bunch of you are gonna be like, the gardenia. I agree. We have gardenias in some other locations. So I'm okay saying goodbye to this because of that window. Because that window, I don't know why the landscapers, even when we designed it originally, it was a bad idea. Because look how low this window goes. Almost our entire view out into the backyard is blocked by this shrub. And I know you could prune it smaller because we have a gardenia that's a lot tighter. But honestly, I'm thinking no. And even Ben was like, oh, the smell. I know. But I'm like, but we could put better things in. And what I'm thinking is like having a nice little like manicured hedge. And then it's filled with like fakahatchee and maybe some rosenweed. And I don't know, I wrote down a long list. I was like, a long list of ideas from lizard tails, river oats. Because this area is semi-shade. It gets kind of heavy shade in the winter. And then it gets a lot more sun in the summertime because the sun shifts back this way. So I'm thinking all native plants, but really low ones. The ones that are going to kind of stay 2 feet, 3 feet max. And we're not going to have this blocking the window, because then when we're inside, we can open up this window, which we actually like doing, and then getting to see out. The whole original thought process of the landscaper was like, well, you need privacy because that's a bedroom window, our bedroom. And my whole thing is like, well, we got a lot of privacy. And actually the one hole here I do want to solve. But other than that, like the perimeter is pretty private. So why would I block this one window from being able to see out? I don't like it. So that's going to be one of the early projects, is just goodbye and do some really fun things. Oh, what else was I thinking of putting in there? Maybe in the corner, maybe right here, a native azalea, but I don't want to block the window. The big thing is I don't want to block the window. So whatever I'm going to do here, not blocking window, semi-shade plants to full shade plants, maybe some shiny coffee, but I don't want to go too crazy with shiny coffee because I do have some propagated shiny coffee over here. And I can propagate those. Shiny coffee is like really easy to propagate. Because once upon a time, I just grabbed a stick and I shoved it in the ground, and then that thing grew right there. So then the idea is in this bed, goodbye. We've never liked this palm, honestly. It's got like giant thorns on it. Do you guys see these? These thorns? Yeah, not a fan. So this space is deeper than it probably looks at times. One, because it just, this ferns, this is nonsense. And I got to deal with this area because there are like whole oak saplings starting to grow in here. Like what I said, they didn't do a good job. They didn't do a good job. So we got like oaks growing in here. So I need to clear this bed out. The oaks got to go. And what we need to do, or what we're thinking of doing, right, is because we've got a window here. We got another low window that's really being blocked. And that's our family room. We sit in there all the time. And most of the view is being blocked by shrubbery. So Ben and I are really committed to one, opening up the windows, and then two, doing native plants so that as we sit here, we can enjoy the wildlife without having to be in the front yard all the time to see wildlife. Not that we won't be out there. Just, you get what I'm saying, right? We want more and we want it convenient. So what I'm thinking is things from potentially spice bush, native azalea, maybe marlberry, river oats, lizard tails, rouge plant, shiny coffee, I don't know, just all that stuff. And then what I was thinking to kind of keep it kind of organized looking is I like the idea of what we have in our front yard. And I want to play with seeing if I can do that with native plants in our backyard for these crazy, crazy beds. You see how there's like these hedge lines, and I know these aren't native, but we got Indian hawthorn here and then like a boxwood hedge, right? And then you kind of have this wildness happening on the inside. And I feel like this is more representative of a English cottage garden where you have like a lot of structure. Now, of course, landscapers have not been here maintaining this, but just imagine with me. Oh, no way. That poinsettia came back. No kidding. Huh. That was planted last year. So the idea would be is like have something very, I know, you can't really imagine it, but imagine it with me. But you have like a box type thing happening, and then you have native plants bursting through here, but like in the back beds. That's kind of like the thing I've been thinking about is like, can we make that work? But I don't know if we have enough depth because these things, because these are good 1-2 feet deep. I think the Indian hawthorn is probably more like a 1.5 foot. So I want to look and see if there's those type of plants where I could do that. That's the idea. But that's one of the things I've been thinking about. But there's more. Wait, there's more. See this bed right behind me right here. This Florida Native Landscaping. Oh yeah, beautyberry. I want to put beautyberry. But here's been the thing, is like I have been trying not to repeat tons of native plants so that like every shady spot has beautyberry. But we were talking about putting beautyberry in that area because we're gonna get rid of the native plants in this area. And here's the reason why. It's not because there's inherently something wrong with this area, though it needs to be a little bit fuller. The bigger problem, well not problem, it's kind of just inconvenient, is that the kitchen's on this side of the house. And usually when we have compost, we come out that door and then we have to walk and keep walking to get to our compost bin. So what I talked about with Ben is the trash is over there, the recycling's over there. Everything that has to do with waste is on that end of the house. And if we're already grabbing the garbage and the recycling and the whatever, we're over there. And the kitchen's over there. So why wouldn't we put the compost bin over there? And we really like the way this is set up in a piece of it, which is the compost bin with a dwarf banana next to it. Because the dwarf bananas can be used as fertilizer for other things while we have the compost bin. And it also kind of just conceals it. So it, it just doesn't look as cute, honestly, all the time. But by removing this from here, it helps over here. Because this space is, well, there's reasons the sidewalks get blocked over here. And I'm more okay with the sidewalks getting blocked. But one of the challenges constantly been is that dwarf banana right there really blocks access to picking the mulberries here. And the compost blocks that too. So if I can remove the bananas and compost bin from over here, and then just have the mulberries, the grand name, and then the mulberry. And honestly, maybe we move that grand name in the long run, but this coming year, it can stay. But if I can move this and put it over there. So now imagine with me, so we got the door, right? I got my weed bin, trash bin usually sits right there. And then what I want to do is I can put the dwarf banana right here kind of blocks all this nonsense. And then the compost can just be right under the window. And I don't know, we'll put some wildflowers or something over there. But then now all of a sudden, it's a lot easier for us to access, which I think will be really nice. It'll also be nice because the weed bin is over here, and weeds that are from plants that can get composted, that I'm not worried about like reseeding through the garden, can go in the compost bin. But like if I have them both in hand, right? The ones that need to be burned go in the one, the ones that don't. And then we'll still do wildflowers, native wildflowers here. But I need to work on them. Let's go to the backyard and talk some more about the backyard. Yay! So you may be wondering about all this backside. Like, are you going to get rid of all this? Is it going to go native? Generally, yeah. At some point, a lot of this is going to go native. But some sections in the near future, we're definitely just going to leave. Some we need to start dealing with. So this section that's full of crotons and giant Seminole hibiscuses, I do not plan to touch any of this other than just maintenance on it in the near future. The gardenias here, we're going to leave. I need to talk to the neighbor about this fence. It is technically their fence, even though it has the indicators like it's our fence, but it's actually their fence, and it is collapsing into our yard. Our shrubbery's holding it up. But amidst all this is a ton of invasive species. So as I deal with the backyard, I will be taking out the bitter melon. We need to deal with these giant elephant ears that are going crazy and blocking my ixora. But most of this section otherwise, other than removing oaks and palms that have gotten in here, this is gonna just stay the same for the near future. Only invasive species are gonna go. I'm gonna prune up this orange tree because it's a hot mess. And if we do anything in this area on this end, it's gonna be about filling this gap in. So over here we've got like variegated schefflera. Someone accidentally gave me invasive lantana, but we're gonna work on filling this gap. And some of the things I'm thinking about are native plants like tea bush, or maybe salt bush, or both bushes. Tea bush, we can make tea from. I feel like that's in the name, but it's very pretty. I feel like it's got a very nice, like, I don't know how to say, silvery pink look. That's kind of similar. Yeah, silvery pink, it's really pretty. Saltbush, when it goes to flower, gorgeous, great for our monarch butterflies. But I think that will help, it'll create the privacy that we need in this area. And then like the variegated ginger isn't doing anything. It's not edible, so that can go. But long term, what Ben and I talked about, especially from like the orange tree to this pine tree, is that this could become a native hedge line. Even though there are hibiscus here, they have never done well. They always have, I mean, this has been 5 years and they look scraggly. They aren't really filling in, and these were planted at the same times as the ones down there, and they just don't fill in, and they're just allowing a lot of areca palms to reseed in the area. So this area, I just feel like in the next couple years is just gonna go. I'll work on filling this in first so we can get an idea of some of the plants, but overall, native hedge line along here. Now, one of the things with the tool recommendations that you may or may not be giving me, I need to deal with these areca palms, and they are a big pain because they grow. So we do have the really cute crotons that I have over there that you might be like, oh my God, you're gonna take out those pretty crotons. But I actually have the same ones here. They're just like being dominated by these areca palms. One of my favorite crotons, not that one, look at it. I love this reddish color. I think it's so pretty, and I'm okay for the next few years that these stay, but the areca palms are completely taking over, and so I need to prune big time. And my thought is, if I prune them really soon, they could make really nice quick borders, because I mean they're kind of like bamboo-ish, so they could be borders for this vegetable bed that's going to be right here. So instead of having to buy like border material, I could just quickly throw together like a nice areca palm. Now, last time I did it, I hand sawed, and that took forever. So if I can get like a nice little electric saw, like, I feel like that'll be good. So this will get thinned out a little bit. That'll help some of the cordillions and the crotons here. Eventually, we're gonna get rid of this non-native firebush. It ain't that cute. It's just very green, and it's very big right now. So eventually it's gonna go. But right now, it's fine. It's fine. Whatever. This section, I don't know. Because we got some cute things happening. You can see the tropical stage, even with the freezes. Though we didn't technically freeze here. Look at that. Look at that pretty pretty red that's coming through. And then we got some firebush here. The jacaranda is somehow bouncing back, so we're not going to get rid of that because I love jacaranda. That, I don't know, these palms, they can keep growing, I guess, slowly. These cordelians can stay in the near future. Eventually we might go and make this all native cottage look, but I don't foresee that in the near future. But I do foresee that this needs to be tidied up because I'm tired of looking out my window and being like, why does this look like a hot mess? Such a hot mess. So tidy, 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 tools for tidying. That's going to be the biggest thing in this area. But can you believe it? I can't believe it. That jacaranda, we thought it was going to be totally dead. And you know what? Maybe it's a blessing in disguise because that thing grew and got pruned by that landscaping company so unevenly. So it was very top heavy. So now that it's coming back, maybe it'll have some weight and we'll just keep it smaller and then it can flower, and I'll be so happy when that happens because I've wanted jacaranda since I was like 10. So dreams may come true right there. Yeah, so those are some of the ideas for the backyard. Would you like to hear about the front yard? Because we've hit the sides. The only other thing with the sides is over on that side, there's like a hedge of linguistrum, and it's boring. But maybe one year we'll just replace it with another boring hedge of cocoa plum, which is edible and native. I don't know. I'm just not inspired. I'm not in that area a lot, so I don't really care as much how much it looks. Low maintenance is probably better than anything. Yeah. That's, I think, kind of the main goal of that area in the near future. It's just like, I don't have to work very hard at it. I'll show you what it looks like. So this is normally a very boxy looking hedge, but again, like I said, they have not maintained it. They have done it for years, but it's just a boring hedge. And similar to other areas is we have some of these windows that go lower, not as low, but at least to there. So whatever I'm gonna do, you know, I wanna keep the windows having nice views. But we have space. Like I could do something that goes taller here and a little bit taller here. I don't know though. I mean, this could end up being like a cute wildflower thing. Like we could put Joe Pye weed and rosenweed and a bunch of, you know, wildflowers in here. But I think this coming year, it's just not going to be a priority. As long as I have like a hedge trimmer where I can just, it's fine. It's fine. Mulch, keep it tight. But I don't think this is a good long-term solution because ligustrum actually get pretty tall. Like there's ones that look like little trees. And that's what's going to happen is this whole area at the bottom keeps opening up, which makes it really easy for weeds to establish themselves. So I would like to get something that can really, whatever it's going to be, is going to help keep weeds out. So I'm thinking some sort of like semi-shade wildflower, something. Joe Pye weed probably wouldn't be good because of that. But something like that. That's just very pretty, colorful. I don't know. Something like that. So we talked about this area a little bit because I talked to you about what's going to happen right here. Here, we're just going to keep letting the, what's it called? Seaside goldenrod grow through it. It actually gave like a lot of nice support for it. And if I would have done it earlier in the year, it probably would have been better because they grow really tall and then they flop in front of Ben's car as he pulls out. So having this to support them as they grow up will probably be really good. So we're going to try just letting that be a thing, which actually helped the spiderwort down below finally get enough light so it could grow. So that'll keep doing its thing. And then we have the yellow tops, which are filling in here. I don't know if we're going to kind of expand this right here because this is technically our property. And we threw some mulch down there and I got some oaks to pull. But maybe we'll do a little wildflower thing, but I don't know. This is not a priority or focus. Mostly this is going to be about maintaining. This bed is really going to be about maintaining. Again, they didn't maintain our little topiary thing that happens right here. Not that I'm a fan of it, but it is a thing. Over here, we're just going to maintain. I'm not tackling this project this year. That's not my plan. I have other ones that are more problematic, and this at least stays in there. That invasive species stays in. But oh my gosh, I don't know how much annoyance I will. It may become a project just because of stuff like this, and I'm just going to get super annoyed by it all the time. So I'm not committing to doing a project this year, but I'm not saying I won't do it because I just get the feeling that as pretty as Mexican petunias are, I might not want to deal with them for much longer. But who knows? There's other things we need to focus on. Now we come to the main event, the big show here. And here's where we're going to be doing some transformation. I told you we got some light problems. So one, I need to also get some sort of like tree saw thing. Again, please recommend in the comments, send me some links. But I want to pull this canopy up even higher. We did a really good job on the eastern side, but we need to pull it up even more on the western side. And that should provide more light this way, but not at a great amount. The other thing is I need to talk to Mr. Cliff about the oak, because that's the end of his yard. But this oak actually, from where this branch ends, actually ends like right here. So, and he doesn't usually prune very much. Well, he doesn't have anyone prune his tree, and it's been a long time, and it probably needs it. So I'm gonna talk to him about maybe going in on pruning this a little bit. One, so we can get some more light on our side, but also we need it for the road. The city came through and just kind of chopped it so trucks can get through, but it still it's really low. So I think we just need to lift his canopy up just a little bit. That's it. And then let it do its thing. And I think it's doing those two things, plus removing this, because this center area doesn't get enough sun, especially in the cooler months, which is main vegetable time. So if I take out this circle hedge, which I have zero interest in maintaining that circle of boxwood hedges, and put in 4 raised garden beds right there, then I think we can get a lot of production from this area. I have some challenges with shade back there, and I'm debating on what we're gonna do for that area still. But I'm thinking if I can put 4 raised beds here, then early in the year, we can get some more production out of the front yard. In the wildflower area, this railroad vine's gotta go. It is too aggressive for the amount of other plants I wanna have, because I want this Joe Pye weed to get really big, which is probably gonna cause shade problems, but I might move it around. The rosen weeds are looking great. I mean, can you believe it? We went through almost frost, and they got flowers. And look at this one over here. Everglades square stem and heliotropes and all sorts of stuff. They're looking good, but this thing's gonna take over everybody. So this is gonna come out. We're gonna just get that out, and we're gonna go crazy with wildflowers. I'm thinking big swaths of coreopsis in here. I'm thinking tons of like echinacea and what's the other one? Wow, it's in the 50s, and look at that butterfly right over there. I'm putting in the purple coneflower and the black-eyed Susans. I want to do big swaths of that in this section, basically to where, because while the vegetable garden gets a lot of shade, this front section actually doesn't once the sun starts coming this way, once it gets past my neighbor's pines. So many pines they have. So big swaths of yellow, tons of these like cone flowers happening. I think it's gonna be gorgeous. We're gonna really put in more, well, Rouge plant has like seeded like crazy under this Poinciana. So I think just by opening up this area, I'm gonna pull forward, what was some of the other ones I wanted? Probably put Stokes Aster in, I don't know. I've made a list, which I probably should have brought that out here and talked to you about, but I think we could do a lot more with just lots and lots of wildflowers. We have to get the railroad vine out so it just really can open up the space. But I think we're just gonna have flowers, 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 flowers. I want to maximize flowers in this front bed like crazy. That's the goal. Just this whole section here. Ben and I are in a debate about what do we do with this arch trellis? Like, do we convert it? I think there's tons of tomatoes growing on it right now. Honestly, I should put some on that one. And we are getting a little bit of production, but because of the sun issues, I think this is going to continue to be a challenge spot. So we may just go and convert it over to some of our native vining plants and then have that one. But if I can correct this enough, maybe. I don't know. We're debating. It's a big debate. We keep going back and forth. And what I want to do is in the space between the wildflower section and the vegetable section is create just a lot clearer border. I know I got logs there, but I really want to up the pretty factor. And I definitely want to create like a clear border area that's really, really like nice, cosmetic. If you have ideas, let me know, because I'm open to ideas. This is all about dreaming. Who cares about money? Just tell me whatever you're thinking, because maybe we'll make it work. Maybe we won't make it work, but it's part of the journey, right? So this will continue to stay as no grass, but we're definitely gonna, yeah, my Seminole pumpkins are like, give me my sun, and they're running all over the place. So that's the idea. Vegetables basically from that log line back, and then natives all in this front area. Let's go back to that bed though. Now this bed is way beyond just because landscapers. So I need weed whackers and edger ideas, definitely. We've lost our path, and I'm hoping with a weed whacker I can maintain this path because I liked having the path here. I want to be able to prune. I'm going to keep these fire bushes way tighter. They have plenty of space to not block my front window. So I don't want to prune them right now because it's just too cold and there's a bunch of wildlife using it, but I want to tighten that up. Well, this one's pretty tight, but just keep it more symmetric. which would open up the space on these 3 vegetable beds. I want to be able to weed whack this frog fruit down. I don't know if you guys can tell, but these are supposed to be 2 feet tall. And I will tell you about the bottom 6 inches of them are covered by frog fruit. So the frog fruit just need to knock down more. I want to keep this as a wildflower section again with, you know, I really did like having the blanket flower. I know it's not native, but I really want to push more, you know, well, you know me, I'm going to like probably put a lot more coreopsis. Oh, rattlesnake master. That's what I want to put up there. So I'm just going to push more and more natives, but I want to keep it tighter. So while in the back, I'm talking about putting like little hedges to kind of maintain perimeters, I don't plan on doing that at this point anywhere in the front yard. I want to play with it in the back, see how it goes. And if it works well, maybe this will all transform. I don't know. This is just kind of like the next thought process. So if I can open this up more, then we'll keep using, I know I said these are rusted and I want to get new beds. But since they're like, okay, we're not going to throw them away yet, but they're terrible. Don't buy these. Buy that one. Where is it? Buy that one. Not these ones. These suck. But they're still usable even though they suck. So the big thing is I need to pull the fire brush back big time because that bed is like a quarter covered by that fire bush. So that's shading. That's shade problems right there. And then these ones get a lot of shade because of the Ponciana. And then when it gets hot out, the Plumeria. So what I'm debating about is, again, do I just, once we hit, because once the sun starts coming up and we start getting the heat, these do better for sun, but I just don't know that these are going to be good long-term for the main vegetable season. So we will try it once I tighten everything up to see if that gives us enough light in this area for the cold weather crops. If it doesn't, then I may just transform this whole thing into a much more manicured wildflower bed. Then we'll really do like hedge line, and because we'll have tons of space in here, and maybe we just do like a little path. Because we kind of need a path that goes from like the front door, because I come out the front door there, that kind of cuts like through here. But if the beds stay, that doesn't make any sense. When this fire bush was smaller, I actually used to be able to come right behind here. So we're going to play with that, but we're going to tighten up. That's why I need good tools. Good tools to make this efficient. And then here, we got a little pot situation. We got a little froggy situation. Nothing changing there. The blanket flower has been propagating itself, so that's great. We're big fans. Oh, can you see it right there? And then something's propagated there. What is that? I don't know. Whatever. It'll bloom, and I'll figure it out. And then we're just gonna keep the variegated Schefflera maintained. The dwarf Ponciana just needs to be tightened up a lot more. And then, of course, we got our jasmine needs to be tightened up. This area, it is stretching and pulling and trying to get space. So I don't know, because we're getting really good banana production, and I don't want to move these bananas. These bananas are staying big time, because right now I've got 5 racks to 2 plants, and we're kind of hitting that point where I'm like, that's probably enough. Which if these 2 can produce enough for us for the year, then I can take out the one over there. And you might be feeling like, but Jacqueline, you're going to be ripping plants out that you bought. But remember, I bought 1. I have 3. Propagating, once you learn how to start propagating, which I'm not an expert propagator, but I do know some stuff. And I am able, like, I can just propagate it. So I've got 2, and they're completely healthy and they're happy. So it would open up more space to do more mulberry picking in that area. And the mulberries provide more of the shade than the bananas do to the wall over there. So, which if you don't know, if you're newer, the mulberries and the banana were originally placed there. Their primary job was not making food. It was actually to shade the west wall, especially in the summer. So since the mulberries provide the dominating shade, I don't necessarily need the banana there if these ones can produce enough. So we may, and that would open up the walkway, because whenever they get their bunches, they start to lean, and then I'm constantly ducking. But then, you know, that's probably good for your health or something. I don't know. So that's the idea with that. So these would stay. Lots of bunches of bananas. And then here, we're just going to really work on what makes sense to keep here. I think maybe we might want to just put some rouge plant or something. The brown savory, I thought it died. It has come back like really well in this area. So where we had like all the porterweed, this is that brown savory, which I didn't know if it was going to do well in this little section. And it's spread all throughout here, and it's flowering too. Oh, can you see the flowers? Let me just show you. Oh, look at that. So it's filling in really nicely. And why that's important is because this has been handling much more shade better than that. Oh, and that's what I was thinking, maybe over in the backyard, put some of this in too, because you can mow it and it seems to be pretty low. It just fills and fills and fills and fills, which was the whole reason I put it here, is I wanted to try seeing if I could stop other things from getting a foothold in this section, since the porterweed really didn't want to move into this area because there's too much shade. So brown savory native. And while I'm talking a lot about big vision ideas, this is all part of the planning process. And the 2023 Wild Floridian Florida Garden Planner is out. This is going to help you figure out what to plant each month, what things are going to be in bloom each month, lots of idea lists for you. So go check it out, www.wildfloridian.net/planner. Like I said, lots of ideas. Not all of them practical. Don't know if I'm going to have time to do all of it or any of it, but we have lots of ideas. So what we're going to really focus on first, get the vegetable beds in the back. And then just, I need equipment ideas. I need equipment ideas because I'm not an expert on the equipment side, and I need to be able to maintain this quickly and efficiently. And if you got, not a lot of motor noise, because I just don't like that. Because just that's the way it is. I just don't like it. So I'd love to hear your ideas. And I also want to hear what your ideas are, because I get ideas from y'all. Like you all teach me a lot. So share what you're thinking. Your big vision ideas, whether they're going to happen, not going to happen, your wishes, your dreams. I'd love to hear it in the comments down below. So up next, we're going to have to I guess we're going to have to talk about what we're planning in January. And what did we harvest in December? So look forward to that one. Okay, I'll see you soon. Bye.